Hi, I'm Lavora Perry. Today is August 22nd, 2026, and this is Lotus Sutra Buddhism on Substack. Lotus Sutra Buddhism .substack.com. Today's episode is titled, Stick to Buddhism? Everything is Buddhism. The traumatizing effects of white people's silence included. I posted this as a Facebook Live video reel yesterday, August 21st. So when I talk about lynching, a suspicious death of yet another Black person, a young Black man, 38 years old, had occurred that day. The second part of this article is a post that I referred to in that video reel. And here today for this episode, I've added passages from the Lotus Sutra related to what I say. Part 1. To my white Facebook friends. Hey, so I want to speak directly to white people who are my Facebook friends. This happened to me. My last post on Lotus Sutra Buddhism, I have a publication called Lotus Sutra Buddhism. It's on Substack, Lotus Sutra Buddhism.substack.com. So my last post was titled, My African Ancestors Who Survived the Middle Passage and the Bodhisattva of the Earth vow they share with you and me. So when I first published it, somebody made a comment, stick to Buddhism. And so I wrote that person, I commented back, I said, Buddhism is everything. And then I got that in my email. I got that comment in my email. And then when I went on the website to go look to find the comment, it was gone. So I assumed that was because the person actually read or watched the video that was with that title, My African Ancestors Who Survived the Middle Passage and the Bodhisattva's vow that they share with you and me. In the encouraging devotion chapter of the Lotus Sutra, in response to the Buddha asking his followers at a great gathering, which of them would appear in the future in the evil latter day to come, which is our age, the latter day of the law, to teach and protect the Lotus Sutra. And a group of bodhisattvas step forward and make a vow. This is part of their vow. In a muddied kalpa, in an evil age, there will be many things to fear. Evil demons will take possession of others, and through them, curse, revile, and heap shame on us. But we, reverently trusting the Buddha, will put on the armor of perseverance. In order to preach this sutra, we will bear these difficult things. We care nothing for our bodies or lives, but are anxious only for the unsurpassed way. In ages to come, we will protect and uphold what the Buddha has entrusted to us. This the world-honored one must know. The evil monks of that muddied age, failing to understand the Buddha's expedient means, how he preaches the law in accordance with what is appropriate, will confront us with foul language and angry frowns. Again and again, we will be banished. In 13th century Japan, Nichiren lived these words. He taught the Lotus Sutra in the face of violent opposition to him doing it because top-level government officials, in collusion with high-ranking priests, saw him as a threat. They used Buddhism to control the populace. But the Lotus Sutra was a teaching of empowerment, the teaching in which the Buddha declared that we all possess the ultimate freedom, Buddhahood, or enlightenment, when he said, I took a vow, hoping to make all persons equal to me without any distinction between us. and what I long ago hoped for has now been fulfilled. Nichiren was attacked multiple times, exiled twice, and almost beheaded because he refused to back down from teaching the Lotus Sutra. Again and again, he was banished. On a much, much smaller scale, I have been too. And for the same reason, teaching the Lotus Sutra. So I am working very hard to get the Lotus Sutra out to people. And I have been banned from 3 groups already for doing it. And for trying to do that. And I'm not going to stop. But one of them was specifically, it happened after I posted that. And this is what I want to say to my white Facebook friends. If you're silent, your silence gives permission to the people that are lynching Black people almost once a week to keep doing what they're doing. August 21st, 2026. Demetrius Fleming, 38, Roanoke, North Carolina. Found hanging. Undetermined. August 15th, 2026. Unidentified Black man. Roanoke, North Carolina. Found hanging from a tree. Suicide. No foul play. August 3rd, 2026. Tasia Fortune, age 29, Jackson, Mississippi. Found hanging from a tree. Undetermined. July 6th, 2026. Nolan Xavier Wells. Found on the shoreline of Horn Island in Mississippi. Undetermined. No foul play. May 8th, 2026. Juliana Umba Inzita, age 16, Charlotte, North Carolina. Found hanging from a tree. Suicide. No foul play. February 18th, 2026. Kyle Basinga, age 21, Marietta, Georgia. Found hanging from a tree. Suicide. No foul play. Your silence isn't neutral. Your silence makes us invisible. In chapter 25 of the Lotus Sutra, Bodhisattva Perceiver of the World Sounds, the Buddha uses this Bodhisattva as an example of how we should be when we see someone suffering. We shouldn't ignore it. The Buddha says, "Good man, suppose there are immeasurable hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, millions of living beings who are undergoing various trials and suffering. If they hear of this Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world sounds, and single-mindedly call his name, then at once he will perceive the sound of their voices, and they will all gain deliverance from their trials." You don't have to be parading out in the street or anything. You don't even necessarily have to post on Facebook, but you got to do something. As I said in that piece, a couple of things I said. I said until all of us are free, until all of us are liberated, none of us are free. And I also said that that white people don't recognize that they cause racism. So I don't hate white people. What I hate is being treated worse because I'm black. That's how black people feel. We don't, I mean, for the most part. I mean, there are people who do hate white people. I mean, and there's white people, obviously, that hate black people because we keep getting lynched. If you don't know we're getting lynched, it's because it's not showing up in your feed. Because you're not engaged with what's happening to black people. But we are getting lynched nearly once a week. Somebody's hanging from the trees and law enforcement is saying no foul play, suicide. It's scary. If you have children, imagine how you would feel if they, for instance, lived in the South where the lynching is going on. It's about empathy. It's about caring about what's happening to another person, even though it's not happening to you. People have been lynched in Michigan, New York State, and Washington, D.C. So it's not just happening in the South. So I don't know how you're going to show up in this moment, but you need to show up if you think you're a good person. Because if you don't show up while your black Facebook friends are terrified, you're not a good person. It's not because you're doing racist stuff. It's because you don't care. Again, that's not that I hate white people. I don't know how to articulate it. I know how to articulate it. White people who think that people like me who speak out against what's happening think that we're talking about them as an individual. We're not. We're saying we live in a society that is harming us, and it's harming us because we're not white. Which means because it's not harming you, that you're getting benefit for being white. And we're being punished because we're not. I don't know any other way to put it. So if you're in that category, the white category, then you got to do something about that. We're not causing the racism. Ignoring it is the biggest cause. Because if it was just the KKK and the people that are lynching people, that's the problem. Most of y'all ain't lynching people. Most of y'all aren't in the KKK. Most of y'all aren't doing any of those things that are so obvious. So if that was the problem, if those things were the problem, racism would have been gone a long time ago. Because most white people don't do those things. So think of it logically. If most white people aren't doing those things, but if racism, which is one group having power over another group because of race, which is why black people can't be racist because we don't have the power. So just think of it logically. If racism is persisting and most people aren't doing the KKK thing or the Proud Boys thing, then it must be the most people that's causing the problem. I wrote a post about this. Check it out. It's on Water. Just scroll down a couple, because I got some stuff pinned. It's not pinned to the top. But I think you go down 3 posts, you'll find it. It's a long post because somebody said white people don't have no culture. Y'all got a culture? Read the post. That's one step you can take in the right direction. Read what a black person wrote about it, about my experience. And another thing, I write on Buddhism. I can't write about Buddhism like I'm not black. I am a black woman. So when I write about Buddhism, I'm going to write as a black woman. I can't write like I don't have my experiences. That doesn't mean that everything I write is going to necessarily say I'm black. Spell out the word BLACK. But I am going to write like me. And I am a black woman. I experienced Buddhism as a black woman in a society where being a black woman is the worst thing you can be. So I have a point of view. Any good writer has a point of view. All right, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I hope you read my piece, white people, because black people already know what's up. Most of us, y'all need to read it. Okay, thanks. Bye. Part 2. What is white culture? This is the Facebook post that I talked about on my reel. Someone asked me to explain what white culture is. Everything that isn't called culture is white culture. That is to say, white culture is the base, the default, so it's invisible. If something deviates from it, it stands out and is labeled. As the default, white culture has no label assigned to it. Think of it this way. Water is clear, odorless, and tasteless. But when you ask for a glass of water, you don't say, "I'd like a glass of clear, odorless, and tasteless beverage, please." You just say, "I'd like a glass of water, please." But just because water has no color, odor, or taste doesn't mean it's neutral. Water, like everything, can be used for good or evil. It can heal and kill. If you want anything other than the default beverage, you must name it. As in, I'd like a glass of pink lemonade, not too tart and not too sweet, preferably with a slight aroma of peppermint, if you please. Water is abundant for those of us fortunate enough to have easy access to it. If you ask for water, everyone knows what you want. You don't have to explain or justify why you want it. You don't have to persuade anyone about why it's a good option for you. It's just the default beverage, water. White culture is like that, the default. Everything else gets an identifier. Can you imagine what it might be like to grow up in a world where you couldn't get pink lemonade easily, even though your stomach can't tolerate plain water very well, and pink lemonade is the healthiest beverage for you? You'd be called a pain in the ass for wanting special treatment, even though the default beverage harms you. This is similar to how those of us who have no physical challenges move around in a world in which barriers exist everywhere for people who have such challenges. We don't see the barriers because they don't affect us. In fact, they make life easy for us. Whiteness is a construct, an invention that makes life easy for white people, precisely because it harms Black people and other people of color, but Black people the most. The person who asked me to define white culture responded, "What you're describing is lack of culture. White culture is inherently the absence of culture." I responded, "If you say white culture is inherently non-culture, then you're saying white culture is special, exceptional, and unique. Because unlike every other group, the white group has no culture. White culture is not special, exceptional, or unique. The only thing that makes white culture different from other cultures is that it dominates other cultures. Wherever humans exist, they have a culture. White people are no different. I know it's popular to say white people have no culture, but it's a harmful belief that's not grounded in science. It's harmful because as long as white people believe that they have no culture, they don't have to look at the ways that their culture harms people of other cultures. Saying white people have no culture is an unscientific belief because there's an entire field of study dedicated to human cultures, cultural anthropology. And here is the definition of culture from UNESCO. UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Here's the definition. Culture refers to the collective beliefs, values, customs, and practices that characterize a particular group or society. It encompasses language, art, religion, and social norms, shaping how individuals interact with one another and perceive the world. And then I said, if you want examples of what I'm talking about, do a search on white privilege. And then I ended by asking my white Facebook friends to read or watch the episode on Lotus Sutra Buddhism titled, My African Ancestors Who Survived the Middle Passage and the Bodhisattvas of the Earth Vow They Share with Me and You. And that's what happened on Facebook yesterday. I want to hear your story. Share your journey with me. I'd love to be able to post your experience with the Lotus Sutra. You can help other people learn about the Lotus Sutra. You can help encourage other people who are studying the Lotus Sutra just by sharing what you've actually encountered with it. So please do that. And you can email me your story at sutraofthelotusflower@gmail.com. To read the Lotus Sutra, Nichiren's writings, and a dictionary of Buddhism, go to nichirenlibrary.org. I created a Lotus Sutra study guide that you can use to support your study of the Lotus Sutra. Over 700 people around the world have downloaded it so far since I posted it last year, and it's free. So you can get it at bit.ly/lotus-sutra-resources. Please like, comment, and share Lotus Sutra Buddhism. This helps new people learn about the Lotus Sutra. Subscribe to Lotus Sutra Buddhism. When you do that, you'll get new episodes in email as soon as they come out. Subscriptions are free. You could become a paid subscriber for $5 a month or $50 a year. Or, if you prefer, you can make a one-time donation. We spend our money on all kinds of things, but this is the only place that I know of where you'll be specifically and intentionally spending your money on the Lotus Sutra. After all, On Attaining Buddhahood in This Lifetime, Nichiren said, the Lotus Sutra is your life itself. To subscribe, come to lotussutrabuddhism.substack.com and hit the subscribe button. To make a donation on Cash App or Venmo, use @Lotus Sutra Buddhism. To make a donation using PayPal, use @MLavora Perry. Thank you for being here today.